More than 60 years ago, Fred McDermott was sent to jail for murder on the flimsiest of evidence. Today, for the first time in Australian legal history, he was posthumously acquitted. It's the latest twist in a case 730 has been following for several years. Tracy Bowden reports.
I sang my prayers and I asked God to prove, to show the world that I was innocent. As long as I knew the people would know that I didn't murder anybody.
Today has proven that Fred was innocent, and and that's very important because it ruined his life.
For the family of Fred McDermott, it's justice that's been a long time coming.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, yes. Wonderful day for Fred. I wished he was here to share it.
This is a mystery which goes all the way back to 1936 and the hills outside Grenfell in the central west of New South Wales. Petrol station owner Harry Lavers disappeared, but no trace of his body could be found. 10 years later, an itinerant shearer named Fred McDermott was charged with the murder after making a drunken confession.
I have no doubt at all he was innocent. None at all.
Sydney barrister Tom Malombi wrote a book documenting the story of what he considered a wrongful conviction.
After McDermott was convicted and put into jail and deprived of grog, he actually became quite clever. And he wrote a number of letters to various people to get information to back up his story of what he'd been doing at the time to show that he couldn't have been the person.
After Supreme and High Court appeals and a 1952 Royal Commission, Fred McDermott was released due to a lack of evidence, but his conviction was never officially quashed.
Poor old Fred, the conviction that he never ever got over that because he was always called a murderer the whole time.
Then in 2004, almost 70 years after the murder, farmer Ted Markham stumbled across some bones in a cave on his property.
Well, I wondered who it was, but then I thought back, well, it may have been the only person that I know was missing in the area was Harry Lavers.
You're always trying to work out in your own head just what could have happened, because you've got so many ifs and ands and buts, you know.
Harry Lavers' sons told 730 they were hoping there might finally be some answers.
But I personally looked into that bush and I wondered, well, Dad, are you lying over there underneath that tree somewhere? Or are you there or where are you?
As forensic teams in Australia and the US worked to extract a DNA sample from the bones, forensic anatomist Dr Mia Sutisno tried to put a face to the skull.
When you do have a photograph of a suspected victim, then it's easier to just superimpose the two images together.
A carefully calibrated system of lights and mirrors revealed a perfect fit.
Here we have the actual superimposition itself of the face over the skull. Now, features of the unknown skull that fits nicely or snuggle fit into the soft tissues.
So you have no hesitation in saying that the skull you examined was that of Harry Lavers?
Correct, exactly, yes. Every skull and every face is unique.
Chester Porter QC believed the spot where the bones were found made it impossible for Fred McDermott to have committed the crime.
The first thing that came to my mind was that it showed quite clearly McDermott was innocent.
When Fred McDermott died in 1977, he'd been out of jail for 25 years, but his cousin Betty Sheila says the murder was still hanging over his head.
I pursued it because he's a McDermott and I'm a McDermott. And I think anyone would do the same thing, like it's a stain on our family history, and I wanted it removed because I knew he was innocent.
Today, the Court of Criminal Appeal ruled there had been a miscarriage of justice and the conviction should be quashed. It's the first time an Australian has been acquitted of murder after death. But the mystery remains. Who did kill Harry Lavers?
Tracy Bowden reporting.